This soccer coach is too devious and cunning. Look at how he coaches his players. He walks up to his opponent and pretends to accidentally step on his foot. Then he pretends to pick up the opponent. In fact, he is scratching the opponent's armpit hair. Next, he pinches his opponent's nose and scratches his ears. He even sneaks up on him and hits him in the head. These techniques are all vicious tricks. His name is Danny and he's a former English national team player. He once kicked a car to explode. Nicknamed the Golden Right Foot. He was arrested and sent to prison for drinking and driving. When he first came in, the inmates were screaming to beat him up because he had been paid to match fixing in the World Cup. This kind of traitorous behavior was despised by everyone. Even the prison guards beat him up on purpose. Warden called him into his office and wanted him to lead the guards to form a soccer team out of Europe and into the world. In exchange, he offered Danny a reduced sentence, but Danny refused because the captain of the guards, Billy, had told him if Danny dares to take his coach position, he would make Danny's life worse than death. When the warden refused, he put him in solitary confinement. He was given the hardest job of all, janitor. He was also summoned by the inmate boss. He said he wanted to kill Danny. It turns out that he bet on Danny to win the World Cup, but because Danny match fixing, so he lost all his money. The next day the boss sent his men to provoke Danny. Danny was locked up in a small room for fighting with others. Trojan kindly gave him a suggestion and offered a solution. He said Danny could form a soccer team among the inmates to compete with the prison guards. This way you can both be satisfied. He was pleased to hear that. Billy also nodded his head in agreement. He started to look for suitable candidates among the prisoners. These guys are good at fighting, but their kicking was horrible. It was hard to find two inmates who could play soccer well. However, they are the inmate boss's men, so Danny decided to give up on them. The next day, he was caught by two of the boss's men while washing up and had his face cut. When the guards arrived, he covered up the crime for them. The boss was moved. He agreed to let his men join his team. Soon the prison soccer team is almost complete. They began to train intensively, but the result of their training was Danny found out that they still lacked a goalkeeper, so Trojan introduces him to the best man for the job. He was the best bald monk ever. This is the most fierce prisoner I've ever seen. He once killed 23 men with his fists alone. Then he came to the prison and became even stronger. No inmate dares to mess with him. The guards even hide from him during his morning exercises. He was Monk, the human demon. But someone who was not afraid of death wanted him to be a soccer goalkeeper. Monk turned him down, but they didn't give up. They said this soccer game is a competition between the inmate team and the prison guard team, and that it would determine whether we were good or bad, and whether we would live or die. Monk smiled wickedly and agreed. He went to the training ground, but the man next to him kept mumbling. Monk slapped him straight across the face. No one would dare to shout anymore. The training started, but these guys are really bad at soccer. Not only do they miss their positions, they also hit their teammates by mistake. It was hard to train them to become professional players in a short time. Danny decided to use a different approach. He taught the players how to cheat in a serious way. For example, you have to pretend to accidentally step on your opponent's foot and grab his armpit hair and pinch his nose. You even have to choke your opponent when he's not ready. On the other hand, the prison guards also started to train in all kinds of difficult exercises. Push-ups, lifting barbells, practice shooting. A few days later, the warden approached the prison boss. He wanted the guards to play a ball game with the inmates. Apparently, it's another betting game. The top government officials on the outside will also be betting. The warden approaches Danny and says, "I'm betting on you to win this time, so don't let me down. Otherwise, no one will survive." Danny organized the group to train every minute of every day. But such a group of amateurs want to challenge the professional training of the prison guards. This is so funny, but they won't give up, because they are also human beings. They also have ideals. Their blood is red too. Soon the race came. They encourage each other and run to the field of play. This goalie leaves the goal and runs across half the field to grab the ball from the opponent's goal. If someone comes near him, he slaps them. If he doesn't feel it's enough, he punches the opponent in front of the goal. His teammates are no slouches either. They would stomp on the opponent's thighs and kick the ball towards the genitals when the referee wasn't looking. They kicked free kicks from the same spot. It is not a soccer field. It's a crime scene. It turns out that this is a soccer match between inmates and guards in a prison. Danny takes a pass from his teammate and kicks it hard. The ball is in. The whole crowd cheered. The commentator was also dancing with his hands. Only the warden was distressed, because he bet tens of billions on the guards to win. But if this keeps up, he might end up bankrupt. He deliberately instigated the referee to blow the whistle, causing the prisoners and guards to fight with each other. Even the commentators got into a fight. He took advantage of the halftime break to threaten Danny in the toilet to let him match fixing, or he would put Danny in jail for life. At the beginning of the second half, Danny was in a dilemma. He deliberately pretended not to see his opponent. Luckily, the inmates had a heroic goalkeeper, Monk. At this moment, he was in the boxing ring again and again. No one could stop him from landing a blow. The inmates took advantage of the guards' low morale to score another goal. Led by Monk, the prison was once again abuzz with excitement. Half an hour left on the clock. The inmates looked like they had the game in hand. Monk simply breakdanced. Then he got distracted and the guards took advantage of the situation and scored a goal. The score was 2-1. Danny walks out of the game on the pretext of a stomachache. Without the backbone of the team, the rhythm of the inmates is even more chaotic. The inmates are about to lose. Danny looked at his teammates who were lost in the battlefield and the warden who looked happy. He decided to continue to fight on the field. He didn't care if he was going to be locked up for the rest of his life. He had already missed the first time. He didn't want to miss it again. He came onto the field. At that moment, the prisoners were awarded a penalty for a mistake. The game was just minutes away from ending. The guards take a shot at goal. Monk catches the ball and passes it to his teammate. Then the teammate passes the ball to Danny. Danny takes the ball to the goal. At this moment, there was no one in front of the goal. Suddenly he stops. He passes the ball to his teammate, who is usually the worst kicker. His teammate kicks it out. And it's a miracle of strength. It's in. They won 3-2. Perhaps no one will remember this farce of a game for years to come. But this group of discriminated prisoners proved with their strength. If you have faith in your heart, you can create miracles and write immortal legends.